The morning air was thick with humidity as Marcus Whitaker stepped out of his car and into the streets of Ironvale. His worn jeans and faded plaid shirt did little to stand out. That was the point. He needed to be invisible. He adjusted the brim of his cap, taking in the police station ahead of him. From the outside, the precinct looked ordinary. Brick walls, steel-framed windows, the American flag hanging still in the stagnant air. But Marcus wasn't here for the exterior. He was here to see what lay beneath. For months, whispers had reached the higher-ups. A culture of intimidation. Corruption buried beneath years of silence. Marcus had dealt with broken departments before, but this one felt different. This one felt rotten, and he was about to walk straight into it. The moment he stepped through the precinct doors, the atmosphere shifted. Conversations slowed. Eyes flicked toward him, quick, assessing. Some dismissed him immediately, returning to their coffee and conversations. Others, men in crisp uniforms with weary eyes, watched him a beat too long. Marcus made his way through the main hall, noting the tension in the air. A group of officers huddled near the break room, voices low, exchanging smirks. He caught fragments of conversation, gripes about new leadership, mentions of Chief Caldwell's sudden retirement. That part nagged at him. Caldwell had stepped down without warning, no formal statement. Just gone. Marcus kept moving. No one stopped him. No one questioned him. Not until... "Hey!" A sharp voice cut through the air. Marcus turned. A tall officer strode toward him, uniform crisp, badge reading Calloway. The moment their eyes met, Marcus recognized him. Trent Calloway. Multiple misconduct complaints. Accusations of excessive force. And yet, still here. Still walking the halls like he owned them. Calloway smirked, arms crossed over his chest. "You lost." Marcus didn't answer. He didn't need to. The officer's gaze flicked over him, disinterest turning into something sharper. "This isn't a shelter. You don't belong here." Marcus held his ground. A few other officers had taken notice, leaning against desks, waiting amused. Calloway stepped closer. "Didn't you hear me?" His voice was louder now, meant for the room. "Get out." Marcus exhaled slowly. He'd expected resistance. Just not this fast. Then, without warning, Calloway's expression twisted. His lip curled, and he spit. The warm saliva struck Marcus's cheek. Laughter rippled through the room. Marcus stood still, rage simmering beneath his calm exterior. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a handkerchief, wiped his face. Deliberate. Measured. "Is this how you treat everyone?" he asked, voice low. Calloway chuckled. "Only the ones who don't belong." The others laughed again, their amusement thick in the air. Marcus said nothing. He simply turned and walked down the hall. Behind him, the laughter continued. But it wouldn't last long. 15 minutes later, every officer in the precinct was called to the briefing room. Marcus stood near the back, watching as they filtered in. Calloway leaned against the far wall, arms crossed, smirk still in place. Others whispered, curious, exchanging glances. At the front, Captain Harris called for attention. "All right, listen up. We've got an introduction to make." Silence fell, and then Marcus stepped forward. Every eye turned to him, some curious, others confused. Calloway's smirk remained, until Marcus reached the podium. The moment realization struck, Calloway's face drained of color. Marcus let the silence stretch. Then he spoke. "My name is Marcus Whitaker. As of today, I'm your new chief of police." The room froze. Marcus watched the ripple of reactions, Calloway's jaw tightening, another officer cursing under his breath. Others sat stiffly, exchanging glances. He let them sit in the tension. Then he continued. "This morning, I walked into this building in plain clothes. Not to test you, not to trick you, but to see this department as it truly is." His voice hardened. "And what I saw was unacceptable." A murmur of unease spread. Marcus's gaze settled on Calloway. The officer looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. "Officer Calloway," Marcus said evenly. "Stand up." The room held its breath. Calloway hesitated, then slowly pushed off the wall, eyes dark. Marcus took a step forward. "You represent everything that's broken in this department. The arrogance, the disregard, the abuse of power." His voice was cold. "Effective immediately, you are suspended, pending a full investigation." Gasps. Calloway's fists clenched. "Chief." Marcus raised a hand. Not another word. The silence was suffocating. Marcus let his gaze sweep the room. "Change starts now. If you're part of the problem, you will not last." He turned back to Calloway. "Get out." For a moment, Calloway didn't move. Then, without another word, he stormed out. The tension in the room was thick, eyes darting between Marcus and the door. No one spoke. No one dared. Marcus exhaled slowly. This was just the beginning. That evening, Marcus sat in his office, reviewing Calloway's file. Dozens of complaints, all buried. He flipped through reports, frowning. Something wasn't right. Many complaints had been resolved under Chief Caldwell, but the timestamps were odd. Marcus pulled up Caldwell's retirement notice. The official date was last month, but a complaint against Calloway had been signed off by Caldwell 2 days ago. Marcus's stomach tightened. That was impossible. He leaned back, tension coiling in his chest. If Caldwell was gone, who had signed that report? And why? A knock at his door. He looked up. The older man hesitated. Then he stepped inside, voice low. "Chief, we need to talk." Marcus shut the file. "Go ahead." Harris glanced at the door, then back at Marcus. His face was grim. "There's something you don't know." Marcus's pulse quickened. Harris exhaled. "It's about Caldwell." Silence. Then, 3 words that sent a chill through Marcus's spine. "He never retired." Marcus stared. "What?" Harris swallowed. "He didn't step down, Chief." His voice dropped lower. "He disappeared." Marcus's blood ran cold. "Officially he retired," Harris continued. "But no one's seen him. Not his family. Not his friends. Just gone." The walls of the precinct felt suddenly smaller. Marcus looked at the file on his desk. The forged signature. The inconsistencies. Caldwell hadn't retired. He'd vanished. Marcus felt it in his gut. Whatever was wrong with this department went deeper than Calloway. Something else was at play. Something dangerous. And he had just put himself in the center of it. The words hung in the air, heavy, suffocating. Marcus Whitaker stared at Captain Harris, his mind racing. Chief Caldwell hadn't stepped down. He had vanished. Marcus leaned forward. "You're telling me no one knows where he is?" Harris hesitated. Then slowly he shook his head. Marcus's pulse pounded. "Then why the hell does every report say he retired?" Harris exhaled. "Because someone wanted it that way." Silence stretched between them. Marcus's mind pieced it together. The fake signatures, the buried complaints, the hostile culture of the department. Caldwell hadn't left. He had been erased. Marcus wasted no time. He pulled up every file connected to Caldwell, his last reports, his disciplinary actions, his final cases. But something didn't sit right. All the documents ended abruptly. No farewell memo. No exit interview. Just silence. He searched for Caldwell's home address. If no one had seen him, Marcus needed to go there himself. But before he could move, his office lights flickered. The screen of his computer glitched. A single file remained open, a case report from 3 months ago. Marcus hadn't opened it. Someone else had. His stomach tightened. He scanned the document. Missing person. Name Michael Avery. Something about it nagged at him. He flipped through the details. A local journalist. Disappeared the same week Caldwell retired. Marcus's breath hitched. That wasn't a coincidence. Someone had been trying to expose something, and they had both vanished. Marcus wasn't the only one asking questions. The next morning, as he stepped into the precinct, the air was different. Officers whispered. Eyes tracked his every move. The walls felt tighter. Calloway's suspension had sent shockwaves through the department. But this? Digging into Caldwell? That was setting fires he couldn't put out. Captain Harris approached, voice low. "Chief, I don't know how much you want to push this." Marcus didn't blink. "We're already in it." Harris glanced around. "Then watch your back." Marcus nodded, then turned toward the exit. He needed to visit Caldwell's house. The drive was short, but the feeling in Marcus's gut grew heavier with every mile. Caldwell's house sat at the end of a quiet street. Lights off, curtains drawn. Marcus stepped out of the car, hand hovering near his holster. Something felt wrong. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Silence. Marcus exhaled, then tested the door. Every instinct screamed trap. But he stepped inside. The air was stale. Dust hung in the sunlight. He moved carefully, scanning each room. The house was untouched. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. Then, in the living room, Marcus stopped. A half-drunk cup of coffee sat on the table. The liquid had long dried, leaving brown rings behind. Next to it, a folded newspaper. He picked it up. The front page was 3 months old. The same day Michael Avery disappeared. Marcus's grip tightened. Caldwell had been here. Recently. And then, A sound. A floorboard creaked behind him. Marcus turned fast, hand on his gun. But the room was empty. His heart pounded. Something wasn't right. And then he saw it, a shadow moving past the window. Someone was watching. Marcus bolted for the door. Outside, the street was empty. But he wasn't alone. He could feel it. Then a car engine roared to life. Marcus turned just in time to see a black sedan peel away down the street. He sprinted to his own car, tires screeching as he took off in pursuit. The sedan weaved through back roads, trying to shake him. But Marcus was faster. He closed the distance, memorizing every detail. No plates, tinted windows, professional. Then, the passenger window rolled down. A gun barrel glinted in the sunlight. Marcus barely had time to react before. His windshield exploded. Marcus swerved, tires screeching. By the time he corrected, the sedan was gone. Vanished into the back streets. Marcus sat there, breath heavy, glass shards in his lap. Someone didn't want him digging. And they weren't afraid to kill for it. Back at the precinct, Marcus stormed into his office. He wasn't playing defense anymore. If someone wanted to stop him, they'd have to do more than fire a warning shot. He reopened the Michael Avery file. Something in his gut told him this was the key. Flipping through the pages, he found Avery's last known investigation. An exposé on the Ironvale Police Department. Marcus's blood ran cold. The journalist had been uncovering corruption, cover-ups, police brutality. And then he vanished. Just like Caldwell. Marcus's hands tightened on the file. Someone inside this department was silencing anyone who got too close. And they had just tried to kill him. A knock at the door. Marcus looked up. Captain Harris stood there, face tense. "We need to talk," Harris said. Marcus exhaled. "Then talk." Harris stepped in, closed the door. His voice dropped. "You're not safe here." Marcus studied him. "I figured that out when someone shot at me." Harris's jaw clenched. "You need to stop looking into this." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "Are you warning me?" Harris hesitated. Then, he slid a folder onto the desk. "Just read it." Marcus flipped it open. And then his breath stopped. Inside was a photo. A grainy surveillance image. Two men standing together. One was Chief Caldwell. The other. Marcus's stomach dropped. It was Trent Calloway. Marcus stared at the image, mind spinning. Harris spoke low. "It was taken 3 months ago. The last time anyone saw Caldwell." Marcus's skin crawled. "You're telling me Calloway was the last person with him?" Harris nodded. A sharp, cold certainty settled in Marcus's gut. Calloway wasn't just another corrupt cop. He was in this deep. And if Calloway had been with Caldwell before he vanished, then Calloway knew exactly what happened to him. Marcus's jaw tightened. He had suspended Calloway. But now he had to bring him down. Marcus stood. He grabbed his badge. His gun. It was time to make an arrest. As he stepped into the hallway, his phone buzzed. A text. No name. No number. Just 4 words. "You're in too deep." Marcus's pulse pounded. And then, another text. This time an address. Marcus's throat went dry. It was an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. And underneath the address, a final message. "Come alone, or Caldwell dies." The text burned in Marcus Whitaker's mind. "Come alone, or Caldwell dies." His grip tightened around the phone. Caldwell was alive, and someone wanted to make sure he never talked. Marcus glanced around the precinct. Officers moved through the halls, some watching him, others pretending not to. He couldn't trust them. Not after everything he'd uncovered. Calloway was in this. Harris knew more than he was saying. And somewhere in this department, a monster was still pulling the strings. Marcus tucked his badge into his pocket. He was done playing by the rules. He grabbed his gun and headed for the door. The warehouse stood on the edge of town. A skeleton of rusted beams and shattered windows. The wind howled through the open spaces, rattling metal sheets like a warning. Marcus stepped out of his car, boots crunching on gravel. His fingers hovered over his holster. His gut screamed, "Don't go in." But he had no choice. He pushed through the heavy doors. The scent of oil and decay filled the air. Then a voice. Low. Raspy. "Took you long enough." Marcus turned. In the shadows, a chair. A man tied to it. Chief Caldwell. Bruised. Weak. Alive. And behind him, a gun pressed to his head. Marcus froze. Trent Calloway stepped forward, smirking. "Glad you could make it, Chief." Marcus's hand tightened on his weapon. "Let him go, Calloway." Calloway chuckled. "And ruin all the fun?" He glanced down at Caldwell, pressing the barrel harder against his skull. You have no idea what you've stepped into, do you? Marcus ignored the bait. He kept his stance firm. This isn't a game. Calloway tilted his head. Oh, but it is. And you? You're just a pawn. Marcus's jaw clenched. Then tell me who's moving the pieces. Calloway grinned. You already know. Marcus didn't blink. This was it. The moment of truth. And then a second voice. Put the gun down, Trent. Marcus turned sharply. A figure emerged from the shadows. Captain Harris. His weapon was drawn, but not at Calloway. He was aiming it at Marcus. The air turned ice cold. Marcus's pulse pounded. You! Harris's face was unreadable. You should have stopped digging. Calloway smirked. Told you. Pawn. Marcus kept his gun steady, mind racing. Why? What the hell is this about? Harris exhaled. Control. His voice was calm, almost tired. You really think the corruption in this department was just bad cops looking the other way? No, Chief. It was designed. Marcus's stomach turned. Designed by who? Harris's lips curled into a smirk. By me. A weight slammed into Marcus's chest. Harris had been playing him from the start. The concerned ally. The whisper of warning. The man who told him to watch his back. All of it an act. Marcus's hand tightened on his weapon. You killed Michael Avery. Harris's smirk didn't falter. Had to. He was getting too close. Marcus's eyes flickered to Caldwell. And him. Calloway snorted. Caldwell thought he could clean up Ironvale. We made sure he disappeared before he got the chance. Marcus's pulse pounded. He wasn't getting out of here alive. Not unless he made a move. Harris sighed. You were supposed to be different, Marcus. A good little chief who'd keep things in order. But instead, you had to dig. Marcus's mind raced. He was outnumbered, but not outplayed. Calloway was still holding Caldwell. Close. Too close. A mistake. Marcus took a slow breath. Then he moved. His gun snapped up. He fired. Calloway barely had time to react. The bullet tore through his shoulder. He screamed, dropping his gun. Caldwell collapsed forward. Marcus didn't stop. He spun just as Harris fired. The shot missed by inches. Marcus dove, rolling behind a stack of crates. Bullets ripped through the wood, sending splinters flying. Marcus's heart pounded. Then silence. A single footstep. Marcus gritted his teeth. Harris was moving in. Marcus peeked around the crate. Harris's gun was raised, searching. One shot, that's all it would take. But Marcus was faster. He lunged out, fired twice. The first shot hit Harris's leg. The second, his chest. Harris staggered. His gun clattered to the ground. Marcus stood over him. Game over. Harris coughed, blood speckling his lips. You think this ends with me? Marcus's jaw tightened. Harris laughed. A ragged, broken sound. You still don't get it. Marcus frowned. Get what? Harris's eyes flickered, not with fear, but amusement. And then a phone rang. Not Marcus's. Not Caldwell's. Harris's. Still in his pocket. Still buzzing. A name flashed across the screen. Marcus's breath caught. And underneath. The director. Marcus's blood turned to ice. This wasn't over. Not even close. Sirens wailed in the distance. The precinct would arrive soon. Caldwell groaned, struggling to sit up. Calloway lay bleeding, barely conscious. Marcus stared at the phone. The director. Whoever it was, they were still out there. Still pulling the strings. Marcus exhaled, gripping his gun. Ironvale wasn't clean. It was rotten to the core. And if he wanted to tear it down, he'd have to go deeper. The phone kept ringing. Marcus reached down and answered. I'm listening. The phone was cold against Marcus's ear. A voice, low and deliberate, slithered through the speaker. I was hoping you'd pick up, Chief. Marcus's fingers tightened around the grip of his gun. Across the warehouse, Captain Harris lay bleeding, his breaths ragged. Calloway groaned, half-conscious, while Caldwell struggled to stay upright. But Marcus barely heard them. The name alone sent ice through his veins. He'd thought Harris was the mastermind, the rot at the heart of Ironvale. He was wrong. The real power was still out there, watching, waiting. And now, Marcus was in their sights. Who are you? Marcus asked, voice low. The man chuckled. Someone who can make your life very difficult, or very easy. Marcus's jaw clenched. You sound like a man who's running out of options. Another laugh. This one colder. You think Harris was the top of the chain? Harris was a pawn. Calloway too. Disposable. Just like you. Marcus glanced at Harris. His face was pale, slick with sweat. The man was fading fast, but his eyes, they weren't afraid. He was still smiling, like he knew something Marcus didn't. The voice on the phone continued. "Here's the deal, Chief. Walk away. Forget what you've seen. Go back to your little precinct, keep the peace, and let the system work as it always has." Marcus said nothing. The silence stretched. Then the threat. "If you don't, you won't just end up like Caldwell." The voice dropped lower. "You'll end up like Michael Avery." A chill shot through Marcus's spine. Michael Avery had been murdered. And now, they were telling Marcus he was next. Marcus's mind raced. He had a choice. He could walk away. Let it go. Pretend he never got this call. Or he could fight, even if it meant war. His pulse steadied. His decision was clear. Marcus exhaled. Then, in one swift motion, he ended the call. The room was silent. Caldwell coughed, struggling to stand. Well, what did they say? Marcus slid the phone into his pocket. That we were never supposed to win. Calloway groaned. Marcus walked over and kicked his gun away. The man flinched but didn't resist. Harris let out a weak chuckle. "You really think you can stop them?" Marcus crouched beside him, voice steady. "I don't think." He met Harris's gaze. "I know." A flicker of something passed through Harris's eyes. Amusement? Respect? Maybe even fear. But it didn't matter. Because Harris was done. And Marcus was just getting started. The sirens grew louder. A fleet of police cars pulled up outside. Officers poured in, weapons raised. They found Marcus standing over Harris and Calloway, both bleeding and beaten. Captain Harris, the man they had trusted, was dragged away in cuffs. Officer Calloway, too. The news hit Ironvale like a bomb. A police captain and a decorated officer, exposed as criminals. The department was shaken. But Marcus wasn't done. For the next 48 hours, he tore through Harris's files. Every hidden report, every buried case. The deeper he went, the worse it got. Corrupt judges, bought politicians, a network that stretched far beyond Ironvale. And at the center of it, the director. A name with no face, no identity, just a force that controlled everything. Until now, because Marcus had proof. Enough to bring the whole system down. And he knew exactly where to start. Days later, Marcus sat in his office. The precinct was quiet. Too quiet. His officers still didn't know who to trust. Neither did he. Then a knock. The door opened. FBI agent Lisa Carter stepped inside. Her gaze was sharp, calculating. "Chief Whitaker." Marcus gestured to the files on his desk. "I assume you've seen the reports." She nodded. "We have, and we want to help." Marcus leaned forward. "I don't need help. I need results." Carter smiled. "Then let's get to work." Over the next month, Ironvale burned. Not in flames, but in exposure. Dozens of arrests. Judges, city officials, even fellow officers. The system that had thrived on silence was collapsing. Marcus made sure of it. And the director? Still in the shadows. Still waiting. But Marcus wasn't afraid. Because this time, he wasn't alone. And he wasn't stopping. Not until Ironvale was clean. Not until justice was served. No matter what it took. No matter the cost.